Okay, let's dive in. Today we're looking at a really chilling personal account. It was shared originally through a YouTube story, and it details this just terrifying night spent at a friend's house.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of source material we love. These personal stories, they really let you peel back the layers.
You get to try and figure out what was really going on underneath the surface.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the spooky stuff, is it? It gives you a window into, like, local beliefs, the feeling of a place.
And maybe even how our own words, our own actions can have an impact we don't expect.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to walk you through the events of that night. It's all based on the account of someone we're calling Sheska.
We want to explore what happened and see what insights this story gives us, especially about things like house spirits, the energy of a place.
And yeah, maybe the power of just a casual remark.
So the source is a YouTube story, which translates to Friend's House Ghost, episode 309 of Combined by nuenglc.
And it's set in Kanchanaburi, Thailand. It's about this high school sleepover that just goes completely off the rails, paranormal-wise.
Yeah, it starts pretty normal though, right? Just high school kid?
Totally. There was a very practical reason for it. They had this school trip, and they needed to be at school by like 6 a.m., super early.
Ugh, yeah. And that guy whose story this is lived about 35 kilometers away.
Which meant what? Like a 4 a.m. wake-up call? Just brutal.
No kidding. So the logical thing was to crash at a friend's place closer to the school. He asked around his class first.
Brand, but no luck there. Nobody lived close enough.
Then he found a friend from another class, and Duck's place was perfect.
Yeah, less than 2 kilometers from the school. Ideal.
So, Sharon asked Antan, explained about the trip, and Plata was like, sure, no problem. He even suggested inviting more people.
Turn it into a bit of a hangout. Which they did. So it ended up being 5 of them planning to stay over.
There was two, go. And he impitude all sedesteptid's house.
Now, here's where it gets interesting, even before they arrive. After school, they grab some food, they're walking over.
And one of the friends just asked Kaken out of the blue, hey, does your house have ghosts?
Yeah. And the story says Toot gets this weird look. He hesitates.
Doesn't just laugh it off.
No, he pauses, seems kind of reluctant, then finally says something like, oh, I've lived here 15 years, never seen anything.
But that hesitation.
Exactly. They dropped it, but it kind of hangs there. You know, little seed of doubt planted.
Right. So they get to the house. It's a 2-story shop house, one in a row. Pretty standard looking. Just his grandmother lived there.
And Deepaha says, the moment he stepped inside, he felt something.
Like what?
Just a weird feeling. Hard to pin down. He tried to ignore it, told himself, you know, it's just an unfamiliar house.
But that initial gut reaction, sometimes it means something.
It often does. Anyway, they head upstairs to Theo's room. Simple setup. Bathroom on the left, bedroom on the right.
Okay.
Inside the bedroom, there were 2 large beds pushed together, and then a small bunk bed over by the window. Usual stuff. Wardrobes, an old TV with an antenna.
Kind of a classic teenager's room setup.
Yeah, Guy mentioned his older brother used to sleep there before going off to university, which explained the extra beds.
Gotcha. And then they do what teenagers do. Settle in, unpack.
And start messing around.
Oh.
Specifically, the story mentions they were filming on social cam.
Oh yeah, social cam. I remember that. It was like early video sharing, people recording themselves saying Sawadi social cam and stuff.
Exactly. And the key point here is, with 5 teenage guys laughing, talking, filming, they were loud.
Really loud. The story emphasizes echoing through the house.
And you have to think, if you believe in house spirits or, you know, the energy of a place,
a sudden burst of loud teenage noise could definitely be disruptive.
Right. Going from quiet to chaotic. Maybe that's what set things in motion. Because not long after this,
something happens.
Yeah. I think Atake decides he wants to watch TV.
Okay, the old TV with the antenna.
She turns it on, and after just a few moments, it clicks off. By itself.
No flicker, no static.
No, just dead.
Okay, that's undeniably creepy.
The story says they all just looked at each other. That fun, loud mood. Gone.
They're replaced by that feeling of, yeah, strange. The Thai word was
right, exactly. that palpable sense of weirdness. You can almost feel the silence after all that noise.
So what did that cat do, the guy who lived there?
He tried to play it cool. Or maybe he genuinely thought it was nothing. He just said, oh, that thing's old and broken and 10 is bad anyway.
And the others, being guests.
Yeah, he sort of accepted it. What else could they do? But the vibe had shifted completely.
The filming stopped.
Yeah, no more social cam. They just talked quietly. The fun was gone, replaced by this, like, low-level fear and unease.
It feels like the first direct response from something in the house.
Definitely the first clear sign. So fast forward maybe a couple of hours, it's around 10 p.m., time to start getting ready for bed.
Right, showers and stuff.
And Joe Kenny says he'll go first.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, in a dark way later. He admits he was a bit of a prankster himself.
Ah, so he was worried they would prank him.
Exactly. He figured if he showered first, got dressed, he'd be ready to counter-prank them if they tried anything while he was vulnerable.
Huh. Okay, teenage logic. But this sets up something important, doesn't it?
It really does. As hairpundit Karen Kindy is leaving the room to go to the bathroom, Cotton calls out, just to tease, be careful.
Seems harmless enough.
But content or response.
Yeah.
This is highlighted. He fires back, quick, joking, maybe a little too dismissive. He says, "Ha, I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm more afraid of you guys."
Oh boy. Saying that out loud. In that house, after the TV thing?
Especially if you consider the idea of house spirits potentially listening. It feels like a challenge. Almost like he's daring something.
Yeah, that feels unwise. Like poking the bear.
It certainly seems like a turning point in the story. A moment of direct, even if unintentional, provocation.
So he goes to the bathroom, plastic door, simple coin lock, starts showering.
And while he's in there, he hears it. The bedroom door, the one he just came through, it opens.
Slowly.
Yeah, softly and slowly. That classic creepy wait sound. Then it closes again, just as softly.
Okay, so his prank theory kicks in again.
Immediately, he thinks, right, here we go. They're trying to sneak up on me.
He knows the lock isn't exactly secure.
Right, he knows they can probably open it with a coin from the outside. So he gets ready, turns off the water, grabs a water dipper.
Ready to douse whoever comes in.
Yep. Fills with water, stands facing the door, bracing himself.
And then
he sees it. Through that little ventilation gap in the plastic door, a hand.
Just a hand.
A hand. Slowly pressing against the outside of the door, starting to push it inward.
Oh, man.
And he hears this sound, like scraping or clicking at the lock.
Could have the contra, like something trying to work the mechanism.
Trying to force the lock.
Yeah. But Kaka, still convinced it's his friends, just gets annoyed.
He doesn't freak out yet.
Not yet. He speaks firmly through the door, basically warning them off. Hey, stop it. When I'm done showering, you guys are going to get it way worse.
Let's see.
Something like that.
You come here.
Wake up.
Trying to sound tough.
And apparently it worked. The pushing stops. The hand goes away.
Seriously?
Yeah. He waits a bit, feels like it's safe, finishes his shower, gets dressed, checks outside the bathroom door when he comes out.
Nobody there.
Nobody.
Corridor's empty.
Okay, but here's the kicker. While all that was happening to him and think his shot in the bathroom,
yeah,
something else was going down back in the bedroom. Completely separate incident at the same time. Right. The focus shifts to the other guys. They were hanging out near the window by that bunk bed. Was on the bottom bunk.
And he starts hearing something hitting the window. Small stones. Bing.
Stones. But they're on the second floor, aren't they?
Exactly. Where would stones come from? Then, after the stones, distinct knocking sounds. Just go be cool. Red on the glass.
Okay, now that is classic spooky stuff. So, looks up.
He looks towards the window and sees someone standing outside. A figure.
A figure. Like, wait, what? But Santa Claus is the shower.
Exactly. But Squint sees this figure that looks just like Sukken standing right outside the second-story window. And the really horrible part?
What?
The grin. It wasn't a normal smile. It was this wide, unnatural, really unsettling grin. The story uses the term Thaletta.
Oh, that sounds terrifying. Like a distorted, malicious smile.
Precisely. But again, Thunkon's first thought, prank.
He still thinks it's that died somehow.
Yeah, he figures it's either finished showering really fast, or maybe didn't want to shower yet, climbed out somewhere, and is messing with them from outside. He even calls out to the others, "Hey, look. It's Azrael. He's outside pranking us."
What did the others see?
They look. Nothing. Just darkness outside the window.
So only saw it.
apparently. And then the host, the one who knows the house, tells us something crucial. He says, look down, look below the window.
And what's below the window?
Just a narrow roof ledge,
Yeah.
like really narrow. And the air conditioning unit. That's it.
No balcony, no platform.
Absolutely nothing anyone can stand on.
Okay, great.
Those confirms are right that it's physically impossible for someone to be standing where he thought saw that figure.
Oh my God, the penny drops.
Hard. That's when Tikam realizes it wasn't Tanadunakon Pod. It was something else mimicking him. With that awful, terrifying grin.
He wasn't scared when he thought it was a prank.
No, but the realization that it was impossible, that it was something paranormal, and that grin. That shocked him deeply.
So you've got these two things happening at roughly the same time. A hand trying to force the bathroom door where there were not inquiries.
And a grinning doppelganger of Yeo appearing impossible outside the window to hunt him.
But it's not just random bumps in the night anymore. This feels targeted, coordinated almost.
Yeah, it really escalates things. It suggests whatever's there is reacting specifically to that, maybe even singling people out.
So, finishes the shower, gets dressed, comes back to the bedroom, still thinking his friends tried to prank him at the door.
And he walks in to find all 5 of them gone. Benu and Anu huddled together on the 2 big beds.
Looking scared.
Visibly scared. And the story adds, they looked kind of guilty too. Not the phrase suggests something suspicious or guilty in their demeanor.
But that still doesn't get it.
Not yet. He's still in prank mode. He apparently says something playful like, aha, caught you all here together. Which one of you was messing with me at the bathroom door?
I was just like...
Totally confused. They genuinely deny it. What are you talking about? We didn't go anywhere near the bathroom.
And that's when the stories come out.
Exactly. Saturn tells him about the hand, the pushing, the scraping sound at the lock.
And then Lighttown tells him about the figure at the window, the impossible location, the grin.
Yes. And you could just imagine that moment.
Yeah.
The collective realization hitting all of them.
These weren't pranks. This was real. Something paranormal was happening, targeting different members of the group simultaneously.
Absolute terror sets in. Nobody's thinking about pranks anymore.
They decide they can't sleep alone, right?
No way. They all end up piling onto those 2 large beds pushed together. The story specifically mentions do aplothine and feed the ones who had the direct encounters were put in the middle.
Shielded by the others.
Yeah, like a protective huddle. Too scared to be near the edges or sleep separately in the bunk bed.
What a transformation. From loud, laughing teenagers filming social cam
to 5 friends huddled in fear, hoping the night ends quickly and nothing else happens.
Does anything else happen that night?
This story doesn't mention anything further, thankfully. They just get through the night like that.
Until the morning. Then comes the confession.
Right. They're all up, getting ready, waiting for the school bus for their trip. And Danya finally drops the bomb.
What does he say?
He says, guys, I gotta tell you something. My house, the spirits here, the house spirits, they're strong.
He finally admits it.
Yeah. He says he knew he probably should have warned them the night before, but he was worried they'd be too scared to stay over.
And he didn't think anything would actually happen.
Apparently not. Or maybe he hoped it wouldn't. But now, after everything, he had to tell them.
That confession just clicks everything into place, doesn't it? It provides the framework. Strong house spirits.
Suddenly, the weird feeling upon entering, the TV turning off, the hand, the window figures, it all points back to the powerful spirits, the sanctity of that house. It wasn't random.
So looking back, the friends start connecting the dots.
Yeah, they discussed it later. Their conclusion was pretty clear.
The noise.
The initial loudness, the shouting, the filming, that was probably the first offense, disturbing the peace of the place.
And then Nitra saw a comment.
That remark, I'm not afraid of ghosts,
Yeah.
likely sealed the deal. It came across as disrespectful, challenging.
And if he didn't mean it that way, he clarifies that, right?
Yeah, Tahak insists it wasn't meant to be disrespectful. It was just his joking, talkative nature, part of his personality.
But intent doesn't always matter in these situations, does it? Especially if you're dealing with potentially territorial or easily offended entities.
Exactly. The impact was what mattered, and the impact was terrifying, especially for Drani. He was particularly affected by the grinning face, deeply. The story says he's still haunted by that image. And it was extra unsettling for him because apparently he's not someone who usually sees ghosts or has paranormal experiences easily.
So that specific, vivid, impossible vision really stuck with him.
Understandably so.
This brings us to what the YouTube narrator adds, providing some cultural context about how spirits, the she MT who pop.
Yeah,
Right. The narrator shares their own belief, which resonates with common Thai beliefs, that these house spirits are very real.
And potentially very powerful. Like, strong means really strong.
Maybe even more powerful than, say, wandering ghosts, because they are tied to a specific place, their domain.
Their role is generally protective, right? Guardians of the home?
Traditionally, yes. They protect the house and the people who live there respectfully.
Oh, they can be provoked.
As the story suggests, yeah. Disrespectful behavior, doing bad things in the house, not showing proper respect, or maybe just making too much noise, being disruptive, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Exactly. Careless words, loud energy. The belief is that displeased spirits might cause disturbances, or even try to drive unwanted occupants away.
The narrator shares a personal story too, right? Not from this incident, but related to house spirits.
Yeah, the dream experience. He dreamt he was at a friend's house and saw an old person walking around.
Just wandering through the house in the dream.
Yeah. And eventually, this old person came into the room where the narrator was sleeping in the dream, sat down, and even spoke to him.
Whoa. Did his friend know about this figure?
When he told his friend, the friend identified the figure as the house spirit and added that the spirit used to appear more often, but his mother started making regular offerings.
And the offerings helped?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
The friend said the spirit appeared less frequently after they started making offerings, suggesting it appeased the spirit.
That adds another layer, this idea that you can interact with them, maybe placate them.
And it reinforces the core idea. Every house might have one, and they have different personalities, different sensitivities. Some might be chill, others clearly not.
It makes you think about places differently, not just bricks and mortar.
Exactly. They might have history, energy, unseen occupants who expect a certain level of decorum.
So, bringing this back to you, the listener, why does this story matter? What can we take away from it?
Well, it definitely encourages us to consider those unseen forces, or at least the feel of a place, even somewhere familiar like a friend's house.
Have you ever walked into a room and just felt something? A heaviness or static or just different?
Most people have had that feeling, and this story really puts a spotlight on how our own presence, our energy, our words might interact with that.
Could a joke, like Phantampadas, actually provoke something? Could just being loud teenagers be enough to cause a reaction?
This account strongly suggests.
Yes.
In certain places, with certain entities, maybe it can. It underlines the importance of mindfulness.
Being aware of your surroundings, your behavior.
Especially when you're a guest. Being respectful of the space, maybe tuning into that vibe a bit more. It's a reminder we might be sharing spaces with more than we realize.
So, to wrap up this deep dive then, we went from what seemed like a totally normal high school sleepover
to a night filled with genuinely scary shared paranormal events. Two distinct, simultaneous experiences.
Culminating in that morning confession about the strong house spirits, which suddenly made everything make a terrifying kind of sense.
Yeah. The key takeaway seems to be about the power of place, the potential reality of these unseen residents tied to locations.
And how our own behavior, even things we think are harmless, like casual words or just being noisy, can intersect with that in ways we really don't expect.
It's quite unsettling when you think about it.
Definitely. And maybe here's a final thought for you to mull over as you go about your day. Think about the places you frequent. Your home, your workplace, cafes, parks, wherever.
Consider their history, their energy. Do they have unseen inhabitants? We don't know for sure, obviously.
But how might just considering that possibility change how you interact with those spaces? If you were a bit more mindful of the feel of a place, or even the words you speak aloud within it, could that have an effect?
Could something as simple as a thoughtless comment or just your general demeanor have a ripple effect beyond what you can immediately see or understand? It adds a fascinating, maybe slightly unnerving layer to the everyday world.